How is Alfheim these days? Does the peace hold?
It's tenuous, but holding. Endless war tends to breed quite a bit of mistrust. Thankfully, the elves Bela and Bigvir are in positions of influence due to their association with Freyr and involvement in Ragnarok. It's the best chance at lasting peace the realm has ever had.
What about the findings in the Consul's journal? Have they shared it with the rest of the elves?
Not yet, but give them time.
A substitute daughter. A box full of evils. This one feels important.
This is your blacksmith story, isn't it? His girl was the key, and he died protecting her?
Protecting her from me. I opened that box seeking the means to kill Ares. And what I released.
Pretty much turned all the gods crazy. Thanks again for that.
Quiet head.
Unfortunate. The time I spend in my own Valhalla means you get more time with him.
Kratos, how well did you know the blacksmith's daughter?
Pandora. She reminded me of my own daughter, who I lost long ago.
Sorry, Kratos. Even at your most vengeful, you must not have wanted to see harm come to her.
Pandora was innocent. The way she saw things. She could reach me when few could. She deserved better than to be a pawn, sacrificed in a game of gods.
Your regret is palpable. But thank you for letting yourself remember. That is important.
Before you ask, yes, I was back in Old Forest again. And this time I encountered my former boss, King Oberon. Rather eye-opening, actually. Used to be a true believer for him. Would have done anything he asked. But now I see through all that charisma and famed wisdom, down to the small, hypocritical tyrant I know him to be. Wait till I tell you what he put me up to regarding a particular magical flower.
This boon is yours. One step closer to mastering Valhalla. I'll tell you more of my story now, if you care to hear it.
I am listening.
If you remember, my father had fallen ill. It was bad. An illness unknown to us. I offered to fetch the mage healer from the city, but my father refused. He insisted herbs were the only way to help him. You can guess what happened next. He was gone before the spring. I was devastated. In time, I grew to hate my father's philosophy and dedicated myself to healing through magic. It was a blind rejection of an entire field. Because I believed it failed my father. Because I blamed his death on his faith. The truth is, I traded one limiting perspective for another, but I wasn't ready to see that yet. That's a good place to stop for now.
Suppose that was beneficial enough to do another. Been wondering, are the remaining Vanir and Aesir playing nice in Vanaheim?
The Asgardian relocation hasn't exactly been smooth sailing. But Hildisvini and Lady Sif are keeping the ship headed in the right direction. The people seem to understand compromise is their best path to prosperity, at least.
Truth be told, I was hoping the old boar would have to call on me to smooth things over. But it's good to hear he and Sif have it under control.
Freya hopes they'll join the council once the peace settles.
Seems to be the very story Valhalla has me reliving, in fact. Oberon fancied himself a romantic, you see. Always claimed that love was more important to him than anything. One time, he led his entire entourage on a journey to attend the wedding of some duke or other, near your old neck of the woods. The groom, this lordly prick, had conquered a warrior queen and was marrying her as part of terms for peace. And this somehow was so romantic to Oberon that he dragged us across the sea to pay respects. Never mind, he was quarrelling with his own queen the entire way! Well, I'll have more of that one, to be sure. As I was saying about my old master and his lofty, so-called romantic ideals, we'd settled in a forest outside of Athens, a place well situated to observing the comings and goings of the Duke's other guests. There we observed the romantic complications of some local use, and Oberon gets it into his head to intervene. Bids me fetch him a magical flower that can manipulate the affections of others. Supposedly, the idea was to nobly help true love prevail over the pressure of family arrangements. But what he really wanted was to use the flower to torment his own wife.
I see why you left his service.
Aye. Brother, while I'd love to say I left Oberon's service as a matter of principle, the truth is, it was much more a question of pride. If he'd simply shown me more appreciation, who knows how long I might have tolerated his evils. I certainly tolerated plenty from my subsequent employers before I could take no more. If I'm being honest, I was only too happy to offer my complicity in Queen Titania's humiliation.
What did you do?
I caused her to fall in love with something preposterous.
All your righteous haranguing about how evil the gods are, and you somehow gloss over that little extra nudge you gave them.
Opening the box was Athena's plan. I did not know the consequences.
You would claim ignorance of the consequences of trusting Athena? Is that your idea of a joke, Kratos? Because I admit it's hilarious. But let's be real, Kratos. Whether you should have suspected the consequences or not, you certainly can't claim that you would have cared about them. You wanted the power to kill Ares. And because you wanted it, everything is justified. That's your moral code at the end of the day, isn't it? To imagine you once again holding an office of solemn metaphysical responsibility. A trusted figure. A worshipped figure. The absolute gall of you to let yourself consider such a thing. I guess irony can have you when it earns you something. Oh, how precious. I don't think you can be trusted to keep that safe at all. Pretty sure he agrees with me.
Sigrun, love, what's the latest on Midgard?
Life returns at last. After the Hellwalker desolation was followed by Fimbulwinter, I wondered if people would ever come out of hiding, or if there were any left to. But flowers bloom, the sun shines, and it's safe to travel the roads and rivers again. No one even seems to mind the giant serpent sunning himself across the mountaintops.
Glad to hear it. Jormungandr's a big softy when you get to know him.
And now that things aren't quite so desperate, raider attacks have declined. It's progress.
Is that a key?
One from my past.
Did it unlock something important?
Only a memory.
Seems Valhalla thinks you have a story to tell.
Later. Sigrun has been this person for as long as I have known you. What happened in the beginning?
Oh, it's a typical enough story. A boy meets girl, girl fulfills her ambition to transcend the physical plane and become a Valkyrie of Valhalla. One day, Sigrun quietly arrived from Fjoturlund and began serving as Freya's handmaiden while she undertook training for the Sisterhood. I don't even think we were introduced. I just see her around the court. Of course, I'd observed her loveliness and impressive stature, but long before we fell to talking. But we seemed cut from different cloth, I suppose. Never occurred to me we'd get along as well as we did. What did it unlock?
It belonged to a boat captain I met during a battle on the Aegean Sea. His ship was part of a fleet under attack by a Hydra. The key unlocked his quarters, where I heard men screaming for help.
Ah, yes. The story of your fight with the three-headed sea serpent. You impaled one of its heads on the ship's mast, was it?
Yes. But that battle is not why this key appeared. It is my killing of the boat captain for it that seems to follow me wherever I go.
And the wheel of progress turns.
Una,
A gift. To become a more total warrior. Imagine it. Ready for a little more of my life story?
I am listening.
I was in the fight of my life with the thugs who burned down my father's inn. Suddenly there's this sound, this flapping of feathers, and who should appear but Sigrun herself. Not yet queen, but by reputation, the best fighter the Valkyries had in memory. I was awestruck. She was confused. The violence, the mayhem she sensed, she expected to follow it to a battlefield full of honored dead, not a hideout in the slums. I apologized to her for not sending worthier souls to Valhalla, and Sigrun offered to take me under her very impressive wing. But we'll cover that part next time, all right?
And I wanted to tell you, Valhalla keeps sweeping me away to my own adventure in memory.
I wondered if it would. That's wonderful. What is it showing you?
Some particular events of my wayward youth. But they're in a loop of sorts. Not sure I've quite gleaned what it all amounts to.
Then you must do what you do in Valhalla. Keep going.
The key again. More to the story?
Yes, when there is time. You and Sigrun, how was it you first spoke?
Back when Freya was queen in Asgard, the better times, I mean, there really began to be some culture around the place. Poets, musicians, the odd contortionist would pay visits, perform, mingle. On one occasion, I'd taken a seat expecting to see this balladeer of the lowlands, when Sigrun walked in. Somehow more stunning than I'd ever seen her. And when of all places she chose to sit next to me, well, a lot of very interesting things happened very quickly. But I may need to collect my thoughts while you get us killed again.
Let us get back to your memories of Sigrun. She sat beside you.
Yes, she chose to sit next to me. No big thing, really. Yet, somehow, despite myself, I felt a rush in my stomach like I was a green lad again. Embarrassing at the end of the day, to be so simple. I made some remark, and I learned how it felt to make her laugh. And suddenly I felt more at ease. Almost eerily. A calm within each other's storms, I suppose.
They had a way of describing that. Peace dwells among us.
Lovely, brother. That's exactly right.
Mimir, you must have more to Sigrun.
Right. Where were we? After the ice was broken, we fell to talking more regularly, even making a point to do so. It was all I could do to enjoy our company responsibly, staying mindful of our respective positions and keep from crossing any line that would make things difficult for us to recover from.
Wise.
Well, mostly. I'm always wisest in the parts I let myself remember. If you needed his key to save others, why does it seem to bother you so? Your actions in this case seem justified.
The captain was slaughtered by the Hydra before I was able to kill it. When I entered its maw to retrieve the key, the captain had somehow survived, dangling with a claw that would surely kill him. I saw the terror in his eyes as he fought to hold on, and then relief when he believed I would save him. Instead, I took the key and dropped him to his death. And it was all for nothing. The women were dead, by the time I reached them.
Your ability to adapt is becoming your greatest weapon. Would you care to hear more of my story?
Go ahead.
If you remember, I had shunned my father's herbal medicine after it failed to save him. I left my village and moved to the city. I scraped and scrounged, managed to survive, and became an apprentice to a renowned mage healer. I soaked up everything I could from her, and I was a natural, it turns out. Shedding my father's legacy came easy. In fact, I'd acquired quite the distaste for it. I cut herbal medicine out of my life completely. It was this rigidness that would prove the biggest mistake of my life. But I'll stop there for now.
It's been tough. The dwarves had been under Odin's thumb for so long. Now they're having to completely reshape their economy to provide for themselves again. Many are looking to Durlin and other outcast members of the old resistance for guidance. But thus far, he's refusing the call. The wounds are deep and will take time to heal. Once they do, Freya thinks Durlin would be a welcome addition to the council.
Ah, the key again.
We will talk later. Mimir, what happened next with Sigrun?
She had introduced me as a good friend. And though I couldn't be entirely sure what she meant by it, for once I wasn't concerned with an outcome. Regarding Sigrun, I knew my answer was yes. The question itself seemed secondary.
You were not upset she called you friend.
Show me someone for whom friendship means lack of love, and I'll show you someone who wonders why their lovers never end up being worth the fight.
Perhaps. Now express your feelings.
Oh, I don't think she would mistake noticing them. I just never asked her anything I felt sure she'd have to refuse.
Your relationship with Sigrun. Why so reluctant to tell her how you felt?
She was on the Valkyrie's path, preparing to transcend her corporeal form. That was her focus, her chosen purpose, and I didn't want to suggest myself as an obstacle. I suppose I let some part of myself imagine she might recognize my affection, even reciprocate it. But now that we know what she was running from, obviously she'd never again risk choosing love over duty. A unique, heartfelt friendship, that is what could endure, and that is what I chose to embrace.
I think I know why I fight Thor's sons.
You tell.
Like Atreus, they were children of a destroyer. Had I not changed, had I raised him as I was raised, subject only to authority, perhaps his fate would have been no better than theirs.
So, they reflect a bad road not taken, a fate avoided.
Perhaps. I also feel pity. Failed by their father, sent to die by their uncle, and belittled in death by their grandfather. What chance did they ever have?
Am I hearing guilt, brother?
Some. Perhaps imagining a fair fight is to honor them as life did not.
Brother, you've told me many times of mortals you killed in God's service. What is it about this place?
It would have cost me nothing to show him mercy. His life was in my hands. To be so casually cruel. This man did nothing to me, and I treated his life as nothing. He was not a god who manipulated me nor bound me in service. I cannot hide behind my thirst for revenge. He was just a man, afraid for his life. Attacked and swallowed by a monster he had no hope of defeating. But the Hydra was just an animal. I showed him what a true monster looked like.
Welcome back, Kratos. Arms up! Fight! Hooksen! I like what's going! Having fun yet? Take it off, Kratos. Be ready. Powerful blow. Good. Fight. Hooksen. There's the fire. Good, Kratos. Defend yourself. Hooksen. Hooksen. The right one's not blowing. When last we fought, I asked what was inside the box you opened. You told me fear, deceit, patience.
Yes, magnifying what was already in the gods.
You know very well. Arms up!
Left flank!
Hugson! Powerful blow. Good. Hugson, be ready. Don't get distracted. Hugson, on your guard. Don't get distracted. I lost focus that time. Hugson! Focus, Kratos. You know your mistake there. Arms up! Hugson, on your guard. Don't get distracted. Defend yourself. Stop, Kratos. I yield.
Hard fought.
Let's see what your mind has worked out. When the evils of the box were purged, what remained was hope, which you chose to release back to the world.
Yes. After everything, you came back full circle to sacrificing yourself.
My death would have been just, but it was not to be.
Yes, you lived, and hope still lived inside you, from that day to this one. One might say you brought hope back to these realms after a long slumber. Box or no box, Kratos. Hope and fear and love and hate exist in every one of us. The question is, which will you choose to let guide your actions? Each choice we make shapes our world.
I see the truth of it.
And
I believe I am ready to walk through that door.
excellent.